Women of Bedford is a not-for-profit community group of passionate individuals who are working across communities in Bedford to capture the stories of women from the past and the present to inspire the women of the future. It started out as the statue project, but then what's happened as we've started working with other groups is other women have said, oh, well, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do an art project, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. So it's almost become something whereby this statue is the kind of the focus for the beginning of the group's activities. I went to a meeting with Gemma from the Panacea, and we were talking about the Talking Statues project. Gemma mentioned that of all the voices that were going to be heard in Bedford, none of them were women's voices. And I got a little bit struppy and thought, well, that seems a little bit silly given that we make up more than 50% of the population. So I kept having a witter about it, and anybody who'd listen to me, I'd bang on about it and go, oh, this doesn't seem right, I think we need a statue, we're going to have a statue. And then that became, I'm going to make this happen, I'm making a statue. Ultimately, it was one of those things that it was a bit Kevin Costner Field of Dreams. And we just kind of kept talking about it enough, and then it happened. And suddenly we were talking to the council and getting funding, and the council were agreeing and saying it was a great idea and were offering to support us. And I suddenly went, oh, I don't know how you make statues. I think what made it easier to turn into reality really was that everybody was just so passionate and enthusiastic and couldn't really work out why it hadn't happened before. And suddenly everyone was like, well, we don't have any statues of women, really? And, went to the archives and spent a few days down there and was just blown away by the stories that we uncovered. Because, originally thought, well, I wonder if it's because no women in Bedford have done anything. Unlikely. And found just the most incredible, amazing stories about the most incredible, amazing women. And then it was a case of, oh my God, who do we choose? Because there are so many inspiring women. So we decided that this was just the first statue. And the aim has always been to celebrate the women of the past to inspire the women of the future. We therefore wanted somebody who was a little bit of everything, really. So Amy was an astute businesswoman in a time when women really had very little agency. So she moved to Bedford when she was 21 to become the headmistress of the kindergarten school. She used her own money to buy out the rest of the shareholders. So she again used her own money. She wasn't married, but she bought property to turn them into halls of residences so the girls had somewhere safe and reputable to live. She was an educationalist. She was a very passionate educationalist. She pioneered different, quite new and innovative teaching techniques. She refounded Bedford Women's Suffrage Society and played a big part in the suffragist movement. And she was Bedford's first female county councillor. So she covered politics, she covered business, education, the suffragist movement, real things of historical importance. And it felt as though, as a starting point, she would tick a lot of the boxes. We've been just completely overwhelmed by the support that we've had. Making a statue is very expensive, and a huge part of that cost is foundry costs. And then there are artists' fees, and then there are kind of infrastructure things like engineering and whatnot. And then a big thing that we really want to do is the educational side of things. So to make sure that the statue just doesn't go up and is there and then it's forgotten. It's a way of encouraging schools and encouraging young people to learn more about the women that are involved, not just Amy, not just the statue, but the history hopscotch that's going to be in front of the statue with a further 10 women from Bedford's history. So we've been working closely with a lot of schools to develop the educational elements as well. So in total it's £100,000 that we need to raise. So far in individual kind of donations and some corporate sponsorship, we've raised £12,000, which feels amazing. Bedford College very generously donated £5,000. We've had £2,000 from the Gale Trust. We've had £1,000 from the community chest, £1,500 from our first crowdfunder, and then we've had just individuals getting in touch with us saying, we want to donate, how do we do this? So we're going to be spending the summer attending all the major events in the town. We're going to the High Street Showcase. Also in June, we'll be going to Taste Festival down on the Embankment. At those events, we've got lots of fantastic actresses and actors who are going to be dressing up in period costume to just wander around, talking to people, answering any questions. We'll be giving out flyers, giving out stickers and badges and letting people take a picture with Amy. In July, we will be taking part in the River Festival. We'll be in the community parade, and instead of having a physical float, we will be a walking human float of 100 women representing the 100 years since women got the vote, wearing costumes from all different periods and having our own mock women's protest march with placards and banners and whatnot. And we'll be handing out information again then to let people know who we are and what we're doing. The book festival will be happening in November, and we have an amazing illustrator who has worked with Julia Donaldson on Tyrannosaurus Drip, and he's worked with Andrea Beattie on Rosie Revere Engineer, and he's called David Roberts. He's just done a book called Suffragette, which is an incredible book, and we'll be bringing him to Bedford in November to talk to people about the suffragette movement and to really bring it to life, so there'll be opportunities for schools to come along to that. If there's something going on and you think it'd be worth us coming down and chatting to you about the project, get in touch with us, let us know. We're really keen to talk to any community groups. I mean, the criteria for people getting involved, I mean, we are the Women of Bedford, but it's just anybody living in Bedford who wants to get involved and is interested in what it is that we're doing. We are working with a lot of schools, and we're happy to work with more schools in celebrating the centenary. There's a portal that the artists have created called The Gift Sculpture, and that contains the research that the artists did in finding out more about Amy, and schools can access that website and find out more about the archive service. When the project is ongoing, they'll be able to see updates on the website, and it's a really great opportunity for schools to bring the suffragette movement and the suffragist movement to life for the pupils, really. But as I say, we're just keen for people to get in touch with us if they've got any ideas or any questions, and we're very open to working with anybody across the town.